Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this game. Like I mentioned in the description of the video, I only played up to the part where you get the tree, get the body from the tree, and everything else from there I don't know, so I'm starting the fresh new game. If you see that the text is different, it's because I'm doing the dyslexic friendly text, and I made everything bigger so this way it's easier for people who don't have an easy time reading these types of games. I'll let the audio play from the voiceovers, but if at any point there's not a voiceover, I will voice over those lines so people hard of seeing can still enjoy the experience. So yeah, I'll just get right into it. And usually I do thinker or sensitive, but I figured I might as well, like for the role play, do physical, just because I feel like it is a lot more in tune with the game. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and choose physical.
There is nothing, only warm primordial blackness. Your conscious ferments in it, no larger than a single grain of malt. You don't have to do anything anymore. Ever. Never, ever. An inordinate amount of time passes. It is utterly void of struggle. No ex-wives are contained within it. You got it, sweet brother. Nothing upon nothing upon nothing. Coming right up, sir. Smooth passage. All right. Nothing down to fuck all borough. Do you want me to upgrade that to a one-way trip, sir? The song of death is sweet and endless. But what is this? Somewhere in the sore, bloated man meet around you. A sensation. Like a fly to the ointment, your conscience sticks to it. The limbed and headed machine of pain and undignified suffering is firing up again. It wants to walk the desert, hurting, longing, dancing to disco music.
The stench of liquor rises from your mouth, and with it, an ungodly headache. A fiery streak penetrates your skull, trying to force your eyes open. It's a sound, a clarion call from hell.
You hear a jingle. Keys are clinking in the pocket of your flare-cut pants. It says, whirling in rags, on the aluminium keyring. There is a single key on the ring. The number 1 is etched on it. It should open the door. This fan has 2 chain pull switches. One ends in a tiny fan, the other in a light bulb. A truly horrific necktie is somehow attached to the blades come squeaking to a halt. It should be easier. You swoop up and catch the tie. Snap. It's released from the blade. What you have in your hand is a truly hideous necktie with 4 or 5 different patterns. The knot reminds you of a noose. window stands broken in its frame. Cold wind blows in. What do you mean, assess the damage? How would you do that? What are you even trying to do? The morning light hurts your eyes. It's hazy, but you see the ocean and some war-torn buildings. A mirror hangs above a bent and broken sink. In a fierce discharge of masculine energy, someone has ripped half the faucet off. Hot water sprays from the base and steam covers the mirror. You cannot see yourself, just the outline of a man. Suddenly, you realize you have no memory of the face that awaits you there, underneath the soft vapor.
Hello, officer.
The young woman raises a cigarette to her lips. Her eyes are brown and her face is speckled with birthmarks. She can't be more than 28.
No. Because you're a police officer, sir. I am, yes. Unless you've been feeding us a set of very well-rehearsed lies all this time. You've been here for 3 days, on official police business, no less. Couldn't say. In truth, so far, mostly drinking. Could it be because of the drinking?
She hasn't had time to put her makeup on. This is her morning cigarette. She looks tired, her beauty waning faster than it ought to at her age.
Don't be so harsh on yourself. They let almost anyone be a police officer. Of course. Be careful, officer. They don't like the police around here.
Something stirs in you as she's about to go. Call it an instinct, a need. The need to ask questions. It's like you said the words 1,000,000 times before. She looks back at you, a light glinting off her eyes.
Yes. The dock workers are pretty cocky. They think they're police enough. At least here on the coast. I can't say about the rest of the city. You're in a hostel, sir. We are in Revachol. Forever and ever.
And ever and ever. Out of the corner of your eye, you see the hair on the back of your hand standing on end. It feels as though low-grade lightning is coursing through you. You must be hypersensitive from the hangover.
It's 51. The current century? Centuries don't have numbers. They have names. And this is the current one. Civilization has existed for 8,000 years, sir. You're right. There is nothing funny about civilization. There was the usual ruckus, loud disco music. I couldn't say. It's impossible to hear people speaking from over here. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestration prime among them. OO were huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course, like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. I don't know about that. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped, and there was a change of pace. A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of the time, you were yelling along to it. That it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now, it was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a winded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Don't be. I was going out later anyway. It didn't bother me. Then you started screaming and trashed the place. No, it didn't sound like there was a fight. It sounded like someone was trashing their room. A window was smashed. The tape player, probably. The song stopped. And furniture, too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable.
Sounds like you were in some real fundamental pain there, muscle man.
I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then, around 4 or 5. And that was it. Glad to have been of assistance.
There they both are. 2 identical shoes, both copiously green and indiscriminately snakeskin, reunited on your feet. It's pretty clear a normal cop is not what you are. You may be what they call a big dick cop. Good, they're balanced, comfy. Feels like the only good thing about you right now, truth be told. You should pick that fat, juicy cigarette butt from the tray, light it up, and smoke the living shit out of it. A bespectacled man in an orange bomber jacket is tapping his foot on the floor. Looks like he's waiting for someone. As you approach, he narrows his eyes and extends his hand in greeting. On the sleeve of his bomber jacket, as well as on its back, are the same enigmatic white rectangles as on your blazer.
Hello, I'm Kim Kitsuragi, Lieutenant, Precinct 57. You must be from the 41st.
You realize he's waiting for your name.
Okay then. It looks like we had a little scheduling error on Sunday. Saturday too, actually. Have you had time to talk to the manager here? Then we should ask him for a rundown of the area. Get me up to speed. I understand the scene is out back, right? It also wouldn't hurt to assure him the police are finally here. In full force, I mean. Have you mapped out the initial interviews? Okay, we'll have time for that after we take a look at the coroner's case. Have you removed the dead body from the tree? So, the body is still in the tree.
This is the first time you detect a weariness in the lieutenant's voice. It is obvious he would have preferred for the body to no longer be in the tree.
Where it has been hanging for 7 days straight. We should go there as soon as we are done talking to the owner.
What a shame. Get to it now. Rip that body down from the tree.
After you, officer.
If you're about to embark on an investigation, shouldn't you have a badge?
You mean you don't have a badge? Losing your identification card is a serious matter. My vehicle has a shortwave. You can use it to report your badge missing. I advise you to try to locate it as quickly as possible, but getting the body down should still take precedence.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi is now in your party. You can...
You should totally sing karaoke here, the first chance you get. Your emotions need to be expressed. People need to know your vast, oceanic soul. Of course, at this point, precise measurements of your soul can only be performed from the outside. It needs to be heard. Through a PA system. By other people. Whether they like it or not. Ram it up their ears, says your adrenaline gland. You should sing the sad, slow song you were listening to last night. Thought it was obvious. No, don't sing the happy song. It's stupid. Sing the sad song. It's profound. You have to find out how the song goes first, though. Maybe a tape of something appropriate would help. A man in his late 20s with a thin, unimpressive beard notices you approaching. He drops the ledger he was holding and turns to the lieutenant.
Mr. Gart, right? You run this place.
Yes.
I am Kim Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. This is an inter-district investigation, so joining me from Precinct 41...
Fantastic.
Right. Now, I know it took us a while to arrive at the scene. It also took you a while to call us and report the dead body. It was you who placed the call, yes?
No, I only just got here. It was probably Sylvie who called you. She usually works the bar here. I'm only temporarily taking over her duties.
Do you have her number?
As a matter of fact, I do.
This sounds like something you can use to call this Sylvie later.
You said you just got here. From where? Are you a local?
What, of Martinez? No, I live in Jamrock. I only sometimes come here to keep an eye on the place. This is just one of the many cafeterias I manage.
But you still know your way around, yes? In case we need directions.
Yes, I know where some things are, but as I said, I don't live here. I just used to work here. and I'm not going to start working here again, if that's what you think.
I didn't imply that. Detective, I have everything. You?
Yes, yes, he means, do you have questions for me, like a police officer would? Behind this building, there's a courtyard. They hoisted him up on a tree there. That's easy. See that door there? First you exit through that. Then, to your right, you should see a big hole in the fence. A really big one. You can get to the courtyard through there. No need for the keys. The hole is big enough for the Franco-Nigerian cavalry to fit through. I don't know who killed him. I'm not the police. That's your job.
He doesn't know. He just said they hoisted him up on a tree. Who is this they?
Oh, people are saying it was the union dock workers, that it was a lynching. The locals, the customers, the people who eat here, a lot of dock workers eat here. Sylvie told me everyone knows the dock workers did it.
Did the debarders themselves tell her this, or is it a rumor?
I don't really know. You'll have to ask her. I would suppose it's because they have nothing better to do.
You mean the strike?
Yes, the strike. The man they hanged was a security guard for the harbour company, I hear. A mercenary. The unionistas probably thought they'd send a message. What are you, crazy? Of course I didn't kill him!
Suddenly you tense up. Blood is being pushed to your muscles. You should hound him on this. Hound him hard. The prey drive says.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I don't appreciate this. What is this? Do I have to answer him? Is this mandatory?
The lieutenant stands motionless, his expression unreadable.
What are you, an idiot? I told you I haven't killed anyone.
He ignores you. More. Press on. Push through.
Fuck you, man.
That's enough.
Thank you ever so much.
The lieutenant turns the page in the little notebook he's been scribbling in.
She went away because none of your business. Extra fine. No, I'm not the bartender. I'm the cafeteria manager. I hope it is.
Let's go.
Not so fast. You owe me 130 real.
As you blow this joint, behind you a whiny voice shouts.
Real mature, man. Real mature.
That sugary black rum stain on the counter makes you teary-eyed with joy. It's almost touching how syrupy and sticky. Oh, excuse me. Do you have some...
Hello, sweetie.
Wait, who's Sweetie?
Why, you are, officer. And have you found anyone to be sweet to? You rascal. I'm too old for you, and too married besides. You must forgive me. I'm getting so scatterbrained, I completely forgot to introduce myself. I'm Lena. My husband Morel and I are staying with our friend Gary just down the street, but I come here for tea when they're away.
This Lena is wacky enough for the motley crew. Hire her on the spot.
Whatever do you mean? Sequence killers? Oh my. But I think you already have a partner, sweetie.
A partner who needs you to help him get a corpse down from a tree. I can assure you with absolute certainty, there are no sequence killings taking place in Martinez.
Now, Gentlemen, no need to squabble. I wouldn't be of much use to you anyway. Thank you, but Martinez isn't the most wheelchair-accessible place, you see. I'd slow you down. Perhaps another time. Yes, officer. You look rather dazed. Like a stunned fox. But surely things can't be that bad. Oh my. You know where we are, right? That's right. In a hostel called the Whirling in Rags, to be precise. How would I even begin to tell you? Revachol is the most beautiful city in the world. We're fortunate to be here, you and I. I haven't seen very many other cities personally, but everyone says so. Revachol is a rare jewel. This city used to rule the world, though it has seen better days. Speaking of history, you know what year it is, yes? That's right, dear. How splendid. Here, take this pen. Knowledge should always be rewarded.
Her relief is palpable. She was getting pretty worried about you there, but now she relaxes her shoulders. Outside, the melting snow seeps into the cracks in the walls and the cobblestone streets, all the way down into the sewers. Above ground, the first maybells blossom. You can feel it, a great cold. Then the shiver passes.
I can tell that this is taxing for you, so I'll just ask one more question. What regime are we living under? What mode of government? Actually, we are not. You could say that about almost any other nation, but not Revachol. Try it one more time, officer. What mode of government? Oh, sweetie. It's really not. There used to be people who thought that way. Other people who wanted those things, but they all went extinct. Revachol is a zone of control led by an alliance of foreign powers called the Coalition. We have almost no government of our own, and certainly no dictatorship of the proletariat. Oh dear. And you were doing so well. There aren't any cops in Revachol, not in the traditional sense. The status of law enforcement has been a complicated matter since the revolution. But we should stop for today, sweetie. You look like you need a break. Besides, I'm not the best person to explain the big things to anyone.
She's scared now. She's realized you really are brain damaged.
A defeat, I'm afraid. The people of this archipelago tried to build something new, something different. The rest of the world didn't like it, so they came and ended it. This was 42 years ago. It has something to do with everything. I really don't know how to explain it better. You were doing quite well up until the end there. It does look like you're having trouble remembering things. History and places. Remembering reality in a word. It's very odd.
A sigh. The lieutenant buries his nose in his notebook.
But maybe a fresh set of eyes is what the world needs. And while I'm no doctor, such bouts of amnesia are often temporary, so I wouldn't worry too much. Someone more educated in sweeping matters. Maybe you should ask.
No. I'm not an encyclopedia. I won't be a guide either. I'm a detective.
Of course. Then I don't know. Someone rich, maybe? Wealthy people are educated. Though I don't know where you would find a wealthy person in Martinez.
That's a good point. This doesn't look like Rich Central.
Of course, dear. Good luck with your case.
You see a set of tire tracks in the brown slush that covers the plaza mosaic. Hard to say. Your vision is blurred and you're having difficulty concentrating thanks to your relentless hangover. Cop habit. You look at everything. There are several footprints in the mud, left by work boots. Anywhere from 6 to 12 pairs have walked here. Heavy workers' boots with reinforced toes and hobnails all over the yard. This trash container is locked. The sliding lid has a padlock that says, "Whirling in rags." The body is downwind from here. Maybe you prefer the smell of garbage to the smell of death.
We could try using a pry bar. There's one in my motor carriage, or...
Did someone say pry bar? Really? Your muscles are down with either one.
Or we could ask for a key from the manager of the Whirling in Rags. He probably has one.
Ask the manager? Bullshit. Go straight for the pry bar. An inconspicuous pile of the roofing material, Eternite. Because there's a secret door hidden behind the panels of Eternite. That's why they're too orderly. There it is. You see a shabby little door.
What is this then? A tool shed? Let's investigate.
The corpse looks at you with bulging white eyes. The face around them does not look human. It's swollen and ready to burst. His lips are fish-like and his tongue like a ball gag in his mouth. You seem to be holding your breath. A cargo belt twists his neck at an unnatural angle. The body below appears stiff. It's letting out an ungodly rot. The smell seeps in, even through your clenched nostrils.
Active decay. It's okay to throw up, officer. No one is judging.
He's about to blow! Cop's gonna blow, Kuno!
Active decay.
He's about to blow! Cop's gonna blow, Kuno!
As you breathe in, the odor comes over you. It's a smell of the mind telling you to run, and your stomach to wring itself empty. With your hands at your sides and your eyes squinting, you stand in it.
They do after 7 days, yes. We are deep in decomposition here.
The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and enameled boots. His skin is greenish, marbled with decaying veins and blotched by lividity. A fading web of tattoos covers his chest and shoulders. The cargo belt used to fasten him to the branch above appears industrial in strength. The material appears to be ceramic. Its clean white stands in stark contrast to the decaying flesh above the knee. The man wore thick polymer socks, probably for padding. A fine array of interlocking plates covers them. Delicate and fragile, they feel alien to the world around you, out of place somehow.
They are armor, no boots. Technically speaking, these are sabatons. Ceramic plate. Zirconium dioxide, most likely. This is where the make would be. Under the heel. Fair weather. Fair weather model T500 VE. I'm guessing that's vitreous enamel. This is advanced stuff. The locals probably scavenged it. It would be odd if he had more on after 7 days. We should keep a lookout for these pieces. The armor could yield information. Maybe he'll know something.
If you wear those pieces, it will help me protect your mortal coil. Yes, bullets will fly. They always do. And the coil is fleshy and mush and permeable. Cast it in ceramic shell. Resist death.
No, he must have worn something precious underneath his clothes. They've removed all his clothes to get to it. They did not just strip him for the putrid rags. They usually hang them completely naked for that. La puta madre, the Mazda, the besmirties and the like. This one still has his underpants.
Fucking talking about underpants.
It is. It's expensive. We've requested similar material for our tactical units for years now. The constabularies deemed it too costly. In that time, we've lost 6 men to semi-automatics. For a full set, about 4 years of wages. By catching, do you mean let's not log them as evidence? Let's steal them? It means disciplinary hearing.
The lieutenant nods often. It's part of his unplastic expression range, communicating both professionalism and sarcasm. This time, the latter.
That's for us to find out. Mr. Gart implied he was security personnel for the harbor company. This confirms my own assumptions. Just something I scraped together from my station. An area report on Martinez. I'm sure you did the same. I agree. This equipment is way beyond what a guard can afford.
A small bell-like sound fills the air, like tapping on the side of a porcelain cup. Suddenly, your biceps coil up. Your elbow is sharp and cocked for a punch.
It's anything but. This material is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads kinetic energy horizontally, from plate to plate, dissipating it entirely. See?
Faint, organic lines cover the plates where they separate into smaller ones. These plates then divide into smaller plates until the stench fills your nostrils. As you push downward, an ominous creaking sound comes from above.
Stop! Pig's gonna pull his head off.
Brutal! What's wrong with you, asshole? Why is he letting Goku know?
I don't know, baby. I don't know why he's such a
Officer, if I may ask, what were you trying to achieve by pulling on the deceased foot?
The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos, and extremities blotched pink and blue. His eyes are milky white and blind to the world, protruding comically from their sockets. There is no one home, just subaquatic terrors there. Dark brown hair grows on his head. His face is ready to explode from the organic processes inside. The death's head grin has passed. What remains is an unrecognizable mess.
I'm gone. Into the wild pale yonder. In the past, way out in the west. I'm a joke. Look at me. There is nothing funny about jokes either. A killer, a motherfucker, and a killer.
Takes one to know one.
Go ahead, Cobbo. What do you mean? It's the power of your imagination. Go ahead. Ask me more questions. You fucking love questions. Because you're a copperoonie. Look at all of them go. Do you want more questions? Coming right up, Copper Rooney. This is getting upbeat now. Fuck no. You're no Rooney. Between you and me, your name is probably Harry. You can be anything you want, Brother Coppo. Because you have loved it, me and Brother Coppo. It was love all along. Sure, Lobo. I can ask you a question. Why are you doing this? Looking at my face, motionless, looking into my eyes, standing here. Why are you investigating my murder?
Something is on its way. Something hidden. It's coming. A miracle from the northwest, and it's almost here. You can feel it in the air, on your hands. The cold spring air smoothing them over.
Do I remind you of someone? No, not quite. Be fair now. You sure we got out of that one, Coppolini? Come back later, Coppo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my memento mori features. If possible, also, see me in your dreams.
An intricate web of blue lines stretches across the torso, from the right shoulder to the solar plexus. Each time they intersect, a small white star is formed in their crossing. Hundreds of fading asterisks riddle his skin. Their concentration is highest around his heart.
Of no nation that I know of. If anything, it reminds me of religious illumination, last or penultimate century. Men who live harsh lives often turn to innocentic worship. But which one? I see no trace of a humanoid figure.
The pattern does not stir patriotic or religious sentiment in you. What it does is speak to the wounded, limping animal, the male in particular, unable to communicate in anything more than grunts. It's impossible to tell if its advice is right or wrong.
So am I.
He wears a wide leather belt around his waist and a gun holster under his arm. He takes a thin piece of
Shit, Kuno! What the fuck is that?
An instant color camera. I have only 2 ampoules, so nobody move. I don't want to waste one.
a sound, a shrill flash, followed by the breaking of a small ampoule of glass. You see streams of color pour onto the thick, glossy piece of paper, rolling out.
In case we need it. It contains insight to the victim's person. By his build, I'd say this was a man of physical violence. The story he wanted his body to tell was important to him. It is his letter, to us. Someone should decipher it. We'll need to show it around. Sure, just don't lose it.
The glassy-eyed corpse looks by, his mouth mute and his skin as colorful as the chemical rainbow on the photo paper, teeming with opportunistic organisms.
You've acquired an interactable item. Investigate this item further by going to the Interact tab in your inventory.
The hangman's knot is pulled tight by the weight of the corpse below. Yellow, hard-edged polyester cuts into his neck. Above, a sliding buckle ties the belt to the branch. Oh my, there's something on the belt. A familiar word that speaks to the thirst within you. Vermilion, in yellow letters, along the length of the twisting cargo belt. Only a deep longing for vermilion golden spirits lets you decipher the fading logo of the local brewery.
Extremely. Industrial strength, the kind used for tying cargo to lorries. Yes, it looks like they use whatever was on hand, paying no attention to not incriminating themselves. A noose is one of those things that's easier to use one way around. I think they lassoed the branch, then pulled on the belt, buckle closes. It's what I would do. Seems easier than climbing up there. It's not merely polyester, it's steel reinforced. See these lines? This is where the wires run. I see rabbits for more than 20 strands. This makes getting him down much more problematic than I had assumed. The brief suggested as much, politically motivated by the ongoing strike. Did you not get a briefing? Okay, you should ask me for one the first moment we get.
The cadaver hangs from the cargo belt, limbs limp and torso covered in tattoos. As you narrow your eyes, the monster before you blurs into a violent mess of green and pink. Only the lower extremities are pink with a dash of blue. His fatted hands, thighs, and his neck just above the noose. The rest of the corpse appears dark green in the cold spring air.
How should I know why you are squinting, officer? Oh. You are trying to assess lividity.
The monster comes back into focus, an explosion of color, coursing with dark marbled veins. His stomach appears pregnant with something. Black liquid streams down his thigh and onto his boot.
So, what do you think?
A pool of blood and feces has eaten into the frozen mud below the man's feet. Purge liquid is dripping into it, drop by drop.
The victim appears to have contained no more than half a kilogram of digestion at the time of death.
The fuck he's saying?
Talking about shit.
Maybe. I do. Most of them are post-mortem. Maybe even all of them. The delinquents have made our jobs harder with their little sport.
Stop talking in riddles, coin slot.
It means you fucked him up good, Kuno. Fucked him up brutal-like.
I think he was upright immediately after death. Blood has gathered in his hands and feet, and his neck. The noose acted like a tourniquet, keeping the blood in his head. The hypostasis here is in tune with the hanging. That's what I think. There's always a chance. We should check for ligament marks on his neck to see if they're in tune with the belt. We'll have to get him down first. I agree. Totally dead. Absolutely.
But there is no breath to catch. Only the cadaver filling the air and your nostrils.
Of course. You have questions. Come back later.
Are you sure we finished the preliminary examination of the cadaver? We might miss some of these things once he's done. The steel-reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle of approach to the belt. The cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting it.
Yeah! Bang bang time, pig! Shoot his head off!
How? It absolutely will not, officer. That's not...
Yeah, now we're talking. Entertain a Kuno with some shit.
They'll miss! The pigs will miss Kuno!
The lieutenant's brow is furrowed. He appears too deep in concentration to even notice what you said. Silence. With his elbow sharp, the lieutenant unzips his jacket and produces a lightweight firearm. He drops a paper cartridge in the barrel, separates the scouring stick, and gives the cartridge 5 tucks, securing it in place. He then steps back and assumes the fellow's desk position, taking aim. The corner of his eye twitches. His finger is on the trigger.
He's gonna fucking miss!
The kid's voice is drowned in a shrill blast that echoes off the walls of the surrounding tenements. A cloud of smoke slowly parts in the air as the lieutenant steps back and says to himself,
God damn it.
A lot of things were wrong with that shot. The fellow's test was the wrong choice. His shoulders were raised, but above all, he cannot trust his eyesight.
Fucking idiot! Mookabat asshole!
Kuno could have hit it easy, but then Kuno's not fucking handicapped, is he? Kuno's sorry too. Kuno feels sorry for the Beano Cloud.
The lieutenant doesn't say a word, just looks at the gun in his hand.
No, we are lucky as it is. We didn't break anything, and the victim remains uncompromised. Any more mistakes could put us in an unfortunate position with the locals. We have eyes on us. I didn't do it. I have to say, it's beginning to look unlikely we can...
You know, you don't feel like too bad of a shot yourself.
It's bad as it is, us shooting firearms like punks here. Go ahead, I'm not stopping you. Just don't hit the victim.
They only have one gun!
Oops.
This is the sorriest pair of pigs Kuno's ever seen.
Officer, why do we only have one gun? That is even more unfortunate than the badge. You need to contact your station about it as soon as possible. Try not to lose this one, please.
You take it, you fucking banani boyka! Take it and shoot yourself in the mouth!
The cold piece of bakelite and gunmetal is surprisingly light. Your fingers fit right through the guard, instinctively resting on the trigger.
The fuck are you waiting for, Kuno? Tell him to shoot himself in the mouth!
Kuno is silent. Aggression gathers in the air. The trigger feels delicate and ready to break under your finger. The buckle comes into focus in your sights. You stand with your feet planted firmly in the ground and your left hand supporting your gun arm.
Why don't you just shoot yourself in your mouth? At least you won't miss.
Your field of view narrows. The branch slowly moves, becoming entirely two-dimensional. The metal buckle glimmers, catching the morning light as the corpse slowly rotates.
Look, he's crying. You gonna cry now, fucking faggoty?
The buckle explodes into tiny pieces, coming loose with a whir. With your hand numb from the recoil, you look at the body slump down. For a moment, the man appears to kneel in front of you, looking straight at you, helpless, trapped within itself.
Communism.
It takes a millisecond for the association to flash within your cortex. You have no idea where it's coming from. only that it's right. Then the rigor in his muscles gives up, and he smashes sideways into the spring mud, letting out a horrid stench.
By being a damn good shot. Ace is high.
The lieutenant takes a little hop to perform the customary salutation. Your palm hurts from the slap. It's precise and down to the point.
I knew these guys were
We will perform a field autopsy and determine the cause of death. But before... Excuse me.
Slumped on the ground like that has not improved the way the corpse smells. The fall seems to have released something deep inside it.
The stench is getting bad. I'm sorry to interrupt the jubilations here. I need a little breather before we do the autopsy. In the meantime, we should try to interview Everard Clare, the leader of the Union. Harbor property was clearly used in the hanging. The harbor just east of here. Getting in might prove a challenge, though. Or we could ask around for the representative of the logistics company. My initial information says the Wild Pines have sent some sort of strike negotiator to wrangle control back from Everard. Yes, and those were the interviewees. Let's go.
The rotting man lies on his side with the lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Shoot, Looney Rooney. Huh? You're misquoting me, Rooney. I said communism killed me. Love did me in. Come back later, Corpo. Amuse yourself with my frank manners and my...
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them. Unfortunately, no. Let's not go glove hunting, please. Let's use division of labor. I perform the anatomical side, while in your paperwork, officer, just fill out the field autopsy form.
Now they only have one paperwork too.
Officer, what haven't you lost? Good. Otherwise you would only have one shoe now. I can give you my paperwork. There's an autopsy form there. Several actually, but only if it helps move things along. Right. The autopsy form is near the end.
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you. Not an energetic start to an autopsy, I agree.
Pig's messed up. Kuno feels pity.
Just leave it empty, officer.
The corpse lies there, indifferent to your retrograde amnesia. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815. Next, NA. Next, NA. Roughly 50.
the corpse looks ageless, like meat on a hook. Teeming with opportunistic microorganisms, letting out a foul-smelling diamine compound. Your eyes turn watery.
Mondial.
The pudgy mess of curdled meat looks neither mondial nor anything other.
Fucky, fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th. 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK 57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None. At least not after the initial examination. Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
A silent nod. The lieutenant places his gloved hand on the corpse's chest, as if in preparation. Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then, somewhere in Jamrock North, a small wood shed behind Rosencrantz Row, Lieutenant Nick Feuerbach puts his hand to the chest of a small corpse, no larger than a monkey. It's raining outside, light drizzle. There is darkness in the shed. Elsewhere yet, an obese female sits in a wicker chair, her silhouette bull-like against the window. Outside, Grand Coudon. The day is turning dim for Sergeant Mac Dawson. Hand extended, he approaches, to make sure she is dead more than anything else. The building is tall, 7 stories wind-wrapped in solitude. Most of the apartments are unoccupied. This was a suicide, the other an accident, the small one. And so, all across Jamrock, Coal City, GRIH, 42 deceased persons found today, 42 stations of breath.
We should start the post-mortem.
The corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening!
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The boots are ceramic, vitreous enamel. They are fused to his skin from blood flowing downward post-mortem. Removal of the boots is left for processing. Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single continuous tattoo, resembling a national pattern. It reaches from the right shoulder to the heart. The ink is blue and white. The assistant has a color photograph of the markings, to be added to the case files as document A1. The photo is taken on the scene, using a Trigat Mini. The deceased has a cargo lashing belt around his neck, tied with a hangman's knot. Color yellow. Length 3 meters. There is a buckle on the other end. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age, about 50. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature below freezing. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short. Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs, consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max! Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark. It's no use. We should get chain cutters. You can try with them. I have a pair in the toolbox of my kinema. Damn corpse. We had a good rhythm going.
The RCM in Martinez. What can I help you with? We don't see a lot of police around here, that's all. Of course. What can I help you with? An autopsy? Wow. Sure, keep them. I have another pair. Of course. Where to? Wild Pines? You mean the company woman?
Yes, a representative of the harbor. She should have set up operations nearby.
Oh, that must be the woman on the giant boat. There's one docked on the pier. It arrived a couple of weeks ago. It's very hard to miss. What do you mean? Yes, sir. District of Martinez. This intersection is called Roundabout North.
He knows where we are. He just wants directions.
There's the pier, the Cape Side apartment buildings, some more tenements. Not a lot, really. The harbor gates, some kind of commotion, I think. I don't follow the local politics. A fleet store, too. Some shops and a bridge. The canal bridge leads to the coast, but it's broken, I think. Some kind of accident, probably. Just coast. There's a little fishing village there, and a fish market. But that got closed down ages ago.
Rows of stalls under a broad roof, where silvery fish were heaped on newspapers. Water, water everywhere, pouring from the heavens in the shadow of the old church.
I don't know. The abandoned kind? It used to gather every spring, but there's nothing to do there now. Just drug addicts. It's just water. No, actually, I think they call it the Martinez Inlet. There are some islands in the bay, but they're hard to reach. No problem.
She's very well composed. Back straight.
Me? I am just a gardener.
She hides it well, but behind the sweat and dirt there is something else. In her rigid...
I am pleased to meet you too, officer. See you around.
Before you stands a motor carriage. The bodywork is covered in blue and white livery, bearing the number 57. Vapor emanates from the large engine on the back of the vehicle. It hasn't had time to cool off yet. In the cabin, you are welcomed by a set of steering levers, a radio microphone on a hook, a pull-out toolbox under the seat, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge. A scent of leatherwork and heavy fuel oils washes over you. A metallic drawer slides out from under the seat and clicks into place. The tools inside are neatly organized.
Take what you need, officer. It's going to be a long case. I'm not protective of my tools, like some men are.
He's clearly a little protective of his tools. But what can you do? Work is work. It's robust, weatherproof, and well-made. Police issue, blue, lets you see things in the dark you would otherwise miss. The handles are long and sleek. Snap, snap, go the cutters in your hand. You can do good work with these. Cut chains, locks, and ropes, especially belts. The pry bar feels nice and cold in your hand, heavier than you'd think. Cold and heavy. Like truth. You feel like you're reunited with truth once more. Useful for opening all sorts of doors and lids. The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The white suede feels luxurious under the touch, and the metal clutch handle so very familiar in your palm. Your fingers waste no time closing around the handle. Clutch disengaged. Release the handle. Clutch drops. Right foot yearns for the familiar touch of the accelerator pedal. You have synced with the machine's mechanical circulation. The smell of freshly treated leather, the lack of dirt and dust on the dashboard, and a neat little brush in the cup holder, all seem to be whispering, "I'm good, cherished and cared for, in the hands of a tending owner." You feel an uninterrupted connection to the mechanics. After a while, you realize silence is your only answer. Do what you will with it. Of course it's only in your head. Of course it is. But it almost feels as if the clutch handle is gently squeezing back. At the bottom of the sea. So strange. The machine is not on the bottom of the sea at all. It's right in front of you, well kept. Why did it say that? The handle is pulled back. Somewhere deep inside the drivetrain, the disc is mated to the flywheel again. In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is the Caprice Kinema, my motor carriage. You can use the toolbox and the radio if you'd like. No, I'm afraid not. We have a murder case on our hands, remember? A motorized vehicle, officer. I'm sure you are familiar with the concept. We've had these for nearly a century. The Caprice motorcar does provide most of our patrol vehicles, yes.
But this is different. This is a sports model.
You're right. I didn't take you for a motorcar enthusiast. Do you also like Tip Top, Detective? An interstellary racing series. You should definitely give it a go if you like motor carriages. It has fantastic competition.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers. As you tap on the gauge, the indicator pin jerks as if startled. It's in the large orange sector, indicating the engine is warm. Next to the gauge is a red switch labeled heat.
There's no use pressing the heat button. It won't start without the ignition key.
Alternative translation. Don't even think you can drive my MC. The frequency tableau lights up and the green button labeled Prime Line glows like a feline eye. And then you hear something. The soft purr of electrical kittens, radio waves cast far and wide over the metropolis. A woman's voice greets you through the static.
This is Precinct 57. Hello, Lieutenant. How may I assist you?
Hello, Alice. Please assist our colleague from the 41st Precinct here. I'm putting him on.
Operating the radio is easy. Just be confident. You've probably done it 1,000 times.
This is Officer Alice Demetri, Precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Under the green Prime Line, a yellow saved button catches your eye. You wonder what the lieutenant's default radio station is.
Of course. What is the number, officer?
Yes, hold on. Her number is 005 1944 298.
Received. Hold on, officer.
Lieutenant Kitsuragi slowly begins to tap a little rhythm with his right foot. Quite a lot of time has passed.
Officer, I have Sylvie Malaika on the line for you. Yes, hello? Oh, right. Hello, officer. What can I do for you?
There is no resentment in her tone. She wants you to ask her out. No question about it.
No, not me. No, sorry. I don't. Not a lot of people have phones around here. Copper thieves take the wires. People don't have the money to have the cables put in again. They use the Union's phone, or the one on the coast.
It was someone else. We'll find them sooner or later, officer. It just might take a while.
Yeah, go on. You mean, why did I leave the bar? Honestly, I'm not really comfortable discussing it with you, sir. Maybe, I don't know. I just know I have to take some time off right now. Please, no. Not this again. Everyone saw your cool gun, detective. You were trying to impress some people with it. Everyone was eating, and...
Sounds like it's going to be bad. Do you really want to know?
Great. Anything else? I do hope so. Please, don't call me again. Bye.
No, she doesn't have a problem with you. It must be someone else she's angry about. Some other guy. Like, trust me, you wouldn't want to be the guy here. You know how it is. Yak, yak, nag, nag. No, you're the guy. You're Lieutenant Love, matchmaker extraordinaire. Help the poor girl out, lest she turns into a spinster. What misogyny? I'm just telling things the way they are. Can't a man be honest in his own head anymore? You have to act, Lieutenant Love. You have to calm that hysteric down. Tell it you've got everything under control. Then go and have a little boy's talk with God himself. Think you can do that, Lieutenant Love? You're just a gimp. What? You want to be more empathetic? Nothing's wrong. It's just sexuality.
Call was terminated by the other party. Anything else, officer? Just a second, officer.
Ten 2, 10-5. This is 41st. Come in. Over. 10-4. What's your status? Over. 10-18. 10-20. Over. 10-18. 10-20. Over. State your message, sir. Over. 10-9. Repeat message. Over. 10-4, message received. This is a very serious situation. I need to 10-22 the captain. Over.
10-22, the captain? This sounds bad. bad and scary, like being called to the headmaster's office in school.
Is it him? What does he want? Says he lost his badge and needs to report it. He what? He lost his badge? Who lost his badge? Dick fucking Mullen. Who do you think?
It's Officer Dick Mullen from the bestseller Dick Mullen and the Lost Identity.
Dick Mullen is not your name. It's the name of a fictional detective who would not lose his badge. Defend yourself. Immediately. They're laughing at you.
Stanford, I hear you, officer. I'm just going to make a note here that you are in pursuit of your misplaced badge. Over.
Fuck me. Mac, come here. You've got to hear this. Dick Mullen lost his badge.
What's going on?
Super Cop here lost his badge.
He lost his what now?
His badge. He lost his goddamn fucking badge. 10-9, come again. I didn't get that. Over.
New heights even for Captain Sober.
Ask him. Ask him if he's lost his gun too.
Sergeant Orson wants to know if you lost your gun too. Over.
Oh, fuck.
10-1, you're breaking up. 10-9, repeat please. Over. 10-9, come in, officer. Over. Come in, officer. 10-9, repeat message please. Did you misplace your firearm? Over. He says he doesn't have it.
Dear God, he lost his gun? Oh my, I can't.
This isn't really a laughing matter.
Mac can face a giant of Coco Nur by himself, but Disco here made him piss his pants.
Oh, I can't. Fuck. He lost his... Ask him if he's still got his wiener.
I'm not going to.
Ask him.
Sergeant Orson here is wondering if you are still in possession of your genitalia. Over.
Now is a good time to say fuck and ass and so on. That'll make this all right. The silence is almost deafening after you flick off the switch, severing the connection.
That did not go well. I guess the important thing is that you followed protocol and reported your lost items. Did we need anything else here?
Real mature, man. What exactly were you trying to accomplish?
Damn, your feet thought we got away.
You know what? The stupid drinks you've had are on the house. You know why? Because I know you can't pay for them. Not because you ran away. Now, I still have to charge you for 3 nights and the broken window. That's 100 square. Don't thank me yet. You still owe me 100 real. If you don't have it by tonight, I can't let you up there. Now, what the hell did you want? I assume you wanted something to come back here. Yes, have you got it? Like what? I was really enjoying talking about the money you owe me. Mine? No, it belongs to the Whirling in Rags.
Thank you for clearing that up. Why do you keep the container locked?
Why? To keep the hobos and drunks out. That's why. And the neighbors too. They put their trash there and they don't pay for the garbage company.
I thought as much. And are you the only party with access to the trash container?
Well, yes. Us and the garbage disposal company.
It seems a little callous, doesn't it? Something stirs in you. Prod at him and find out.
Callous? What are you, Kras Mazov? Almost all establishments in Revachol keep their trash locked. The whirling in rags is not special in that regard. What do you need them for?
It concerns the case. Please cooperate.
Just bring them back once you're done, please. What thing? Yes, not the whole damn union, thank God. Just the nastiest and loudest faction. They come here in the evenings. Dumb, unruly types. Think they're big shit. But they're good customers. They place big orders and always pay on time.
We should find out who this Lord faction is, occupying the booth. Loudness means talkative, and we need info. We don't. We have to wait. They'll show up sooner or later. Men get hungry, even striking men. If not today, then they'll be here tomorrow.
What are you, a cook now? That's none of your business. He wasn't pan-fried, he was lynched. What could the kitchen possibly have to do with... Fine, okay. The kitchen is closed until 1 p.m. because the cook is working. You can snoop around after that, if you must. What are you, a cook now? He wasn't fine, okay. The kitchen... What?
By the way, you should come back to this thing-based questionnaire if you see anything interesting in the whirling later.
Absolutely out of the question.
Absolutely in the question. First we find a sad banger. Then we sing this place to shit. By the way, where is home? The address is coming up blank. And this place, sure. But you've been at this hostel cafeteria for only 3 nights. Where were you before? You had to be somewhere. Why did you say that?
No. But isn't that an expression, not a place? A saying, up on Marvel Hill, a great high place, one that is impossible to climb back to.
That doesn't sound like somewhere you can stay if you run out of money. You can try. Run some addresses in your head when you get the time.
I'm going to do a quick pause here. I'll be back after a short break. Alright, I am back. I'll probably play until 6:45, just because I have some stuff to do.
This trash container is locked. The sliding lid has a padlock that says, "Whirling in rags." With a well-oiled crack, the lock pops open. It should now be possible to simply raise the lid. Don't. Maybe you shouldn't. Just a feeling. A warning from some part of you. The smell of rotten food rises to greet you. You see soggy cartons, dirty rags, and organic waste.
We're just in time. This hasn't been emptied for over a week.
You see milk and egg rest with one broken egg in it. Some pasta wrapper. Picking up the soggy packages somehow feels familiar. You've done this before. The movements are recorded in your elbows, the methodology in your fingers. You're used to this. No, searching for evidence in the trash. A box falls into pieces in your hands. Batiste Soleil cereal. There are plastic pasta packages below, and turbo noodles. Nothing of note, however. You see milk and egg wrap. You've done this before. A box falls into pieces in your hand. Among the threadbare kitchen towels, something catches your eye. A pair of denim trousers. As the legs of the slime-covered jeans begin to unspool from the garbage, a rank corpse smell fills the air.
The victim's clothes? Cadaverine odor is faint. If these belong to the deceased, they were removed when he was still in the early stages of decay. Drop them in here, officer. Guitar-marked blue jeans. Pockets empty or emptied. He wore them with a belt, too, a white belt. The loops appear stretched, but the belt is missing. That's it. Do you see anything else in there? I have another bag here.
Something slimy catches your eye. A drab, long-sleeved shirt, olive-colored, appears from the food waste, dripping with pus.
This is a military-type overgarment. No label or serial number. This is the kind of rib-knit shirt that's worn over light armor to conceal it in an urban scenario. Anything more?
The rest of the rags are just kitchen variety waste. A yellow old mug that catches your eye. But other than that...
All right. We should go to Gart again and ask if he knows who put the clothes in the trash. It could be as simple as someone from the hostel cleaning the yard. Or that one. I'd advise against confronting that force. Not really. All we know is the victim's clothes are in the trash. The lid was locked and his establishment had the key. It's just a small loose thread.
The lieutenant nods, then looks back into the trash container. It's just organic waste, cold and slimy on your hands. Apple and potato peels mostly. Unidentified sludge and the occasional chicken bone thrown in for good measure. But hey, what's this? A blue piece of plastic sticks out from the apple peels. It's shiny. Looks like the corner of something. Something larger. A clipboard. A blue plastic clipboard with moist papers hanging from it. They look badly damaged, but you can still make out forms and notes, written in a man's handwriting.
Officer, is that your paperwork? It is. Look, the plastic has the RCM street grid on it. You've even got an autopsy form in there. If you don't mind me asking, how did this get in the trash? Well, lucky we found it. You should take stock of what remains, just to be sure some has not made it into the hands of the RCM's adversaries. Organized crime and the like. They might have been. It would also not hurt to start taking notes on the case. Now, tell me what your eagle eyes see. Or are we...
Some items, such as the ledger you found, are interactable.
You pick out a broken mug with an oddly racist depiction of the yellow man frolicking in saffron, only in its social sensibility.
Mm-hmm.
The container sounds a muffled gong.
That's one thing off the list. I think we got it all.
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion by autopsy. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
Cut with as much precision as you can, please.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
The belt is equally tight around the whole circumference of his neck, swelling over the edges like white bread rising from the east. The knot is the weak spot. The chain cutters fit in there, steady now, like a flower arranger. 2 cuts and it should come loose. After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on the curdled meat is gentlest, pulling up.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia...
No! It's gonna happen, see!
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury. Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip.
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating, especially the hip. Before you is a temple of pain that knew little tenderness in life.
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin. Last item, hands. Hands are clean, no sign of a recent struggle. Ooh, that's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
You don't even have a joke.
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous. You hear cracks as the lieutenant moves his sharp fingers inside the flesh, like the creaking of an old house at night.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system. Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth. Hepatobiliary, NA. Same for toxicology and serology, NA. Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal. Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have Bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 fields. Leave a 4th one too.
Be thorough if you want maximum results.
Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Right. Next? Nothing. Just in case. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. The hyoid bone is fractured, the cervical column intact. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. Think for a moment. There's time. Don't rush.
Why do you say that? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal? Now you're just undermining yourself for the sake of it. What's strange is, I agree. I was sure we had our cause of death here, and now I think we should leave it empty, at least for the time being. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of an autopsy. But, personally, I do not see this as a parameter for success. We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy.
Oh yeah, well done, Master Detective. Maybe a drink is in order?
Now we put him in a body bag and I drive him to Forborg for processing.
The lieutenant looks at the dead man. One more. You tilt your head, also looking at the corpse. Your arm reaches out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, dead flesh through the latex glove. It's right under the palm of your hand. His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a rubber spider, your gloved hand crawls on his features. Everything is silent, all around. They are swollen shut. You need to really push to get in. Only the little one fits. The flesh changes shape as you bore in, searching for something in the cartilage.
The fuck is he doing?
The thing you're looking for, it's not there. Crawl out, spider. You pick it between your fingers. The mass feels large, very porous somehow. Keep crawling, lest you break it. The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, fragile, even through the latex. From the soft meat, teeth are budding, hard pearls of bone in the gums and in the back of the mouth. Can you feel it? You're so close. Rip his jaws open now. Look in. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from his throat. And there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened. A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up, tissue damage, wide enough for 2 fingers. As you push both in, you reach through his mouth, right into his brainstem.
What is happening?
Ah, shit, see?
Yes, that's what this part is called. You've seen the drawings. You've studied them. The basal ganglia feels clumpy. What entered here has torn apart his reptilian complex. The funk soul brother at the back of his head has gone dark forever. Your yellow fingers slide into the remains of the limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper.
Fucking cavity, see?
Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. All the muscles in your body harden. Time to enter him. Your fingers reach toward his skull. His cerebral cortex feels like jelly. Cold jelly. Strange fluid streams down your wrist as you push deeper until you feel it on the tip of your finger. Ice cold serrated metal. Its edges cut right through the latex and into your finger. The pain is barely noticeable under the adrenaline rush.
Can you get to it?
There's a tiny crack, a protrusion in the cranium, right in the back of his head. Your finger must be pointing straight at it, from the inside.
We have the makings of a very small exit wound here.
Forget about the fucking exit wound, Beano. The pig is wearing him like a fuck puppet.
You pick the object between your index and middle finger. Feels sharp, like metal. You press your teeth together. Your jaw is clenched. All you need to do is just... The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove. Sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, your hand emerges from the mouth. The garden glove is covered in blood right up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower. A blossom made of lead.
Fucking beautiful!
A bullet.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-caliber, rifled, some kind of brittle alloy, fractured on impact. Of course, you deserve it. Looks like we need to add one more item to your injury list. Injury number 4. Oval-entry wound with an abrasion collar, soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity, temporary cavity in brain tissue, small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury. And one last thing. We can now fill in injury number 3. Ligament mark. Opinion, non-fatal. Post-mortem. Treatment.
He's proposing the bullet was the real cause of death, and the hanging an attempt to conceal this fact.
Yes, and the belt around his neck, the hanging, even dragging him to the yard. All of it was done after this man was... I have had my doubts for a while now. Since I saw there were no signs of struggle, there have been other signs too. Small things. We were right not to assign hanging as cause of death, as the perpetrators expected we would. No such luck for them. That's for us to find out. But this, it will make finding them just a little easier. To hide something. The real killer? The real motivation? What really happened here? Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
Oh, you really do. I am glad to hear you say that. Your room in the Whirling in Rags should come with a bathroom. Be sure to make use of it in the evening. We put him in a bag and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. The body bag should contain the odor for the duration of the transport. I would drive him to processing, but it's too late to do that today. I'll do it first thing tomorrow. No problem. One more thing. This was really good work, detective. All right. I will need a little help carrying him. You take the hands, I'll take the legs.
Be still, my beating heart. It's amphetamine, sweet amphetamine. The lieutenant isn't studying the powder in the mirror. He's studying you.
Perhaps not. This is below our pay grade, detective. However, see that ladder there? It's probably another way into the industry.
right, I think I'm gonna call it there. I never did that thing where you dig around in his head to find the bullets. That's a really cool thing that I just discovered today. So yeah, super excited to explore more of this game in the future, and hopefully we get more people to watch this game because it's a really cool game, and I think it deserves a lot of credit, even though the studio currently doing some fuck shit, and even though the studio, you know, just really just kind of, the team got fucked over by the studio. So yeah, I think that, you know, this game is really, really solid, even though, like I said, there were issues with the management team, but, you know, it's good either way.